Hi everyone, welcome back to Too Cool for Middle School. It's the end of July, so this is supposed to be like my July reading wrap-up video, but I read less this month than I have in years. This is my worst reading month that I've had in like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. I don't really know what happened. I was just like hanging out with my little kids a lot, I guess. We went to a lot of museums, and so what I'm going to end up doing with this video is show you some of the books that I got at the museums that we went to that I'm going to be using in my classroom. So before we do that, real quick, I'll just show you what I did read. It wasn't much, just 2 books. One of them was a physical book, one of them was an audiobook, and that's all. So this was the only physical book that I read, but it was really, really good, and I've had this on my list to read for a long time. This is called Starfish by Lisa Phipps. This is a middle grades novel in verse. The main character is Ellie. She is bullied all the time for her weight by her classmates and by like perfect strangers and by her mom and by her siblings. And she's really funny and she's really cool and she loves to swim and she has so many great qualities about her, and the thing that people always focus on is her weight, and it's really frustrating like being inside her point of view because other people just feel like they get to have an opinion about what she eats and how she should exercise, but she does exercise. Some people just genetically carry more weight on their body, and so through like seeing the world through her perspective and even her own body through her perspective, she doesn't hate her body. She doesn't care if she has some extra weight on her. There are much bigger things in life to worry about. So I think this is just a really great book to kind of like gain that perspective if you're not somebody who does carry extra weight on your body. It's really good to be able to see how that affects somebody when like everyone else just feels entitled to comment upon your body. Don't do that. Don't do that to people. And then this is also just great to have in your classroom library if there's anyone else who does feel like Ellie feels and can, you know, read about a character who has to deal with maybe some of the same things that they have to deal with. Like, oh, it just makes you hate middle school bullies so much all over again. And it's really beautifully written. Like, I want to pull out a few passages just to work with. I don't know, I'm trying to figure out a way to use novels in verse more this year because I've read a couple of really good ones over the summer. So yeah, this one's gonna come with me to my classroom. We're gonna find some ways to use it. I highly recommend it. The other one that I read, let's see, it was on audio. Okay, it's Lenny Kravitz's memoir called Let Love Rule. So it's about his early life, basically, like up until he's about 25, and Let Love Rule is the name of his first album. So it's basically like every life experience that went into the songs on his first album. So you do get to hear a little bit about like his relationship with Lisa Bonet and his daughter, Zoe Kravitz. That comes kind of like later in the book. But I didn't realize that his mom is Roxy Roker, and she was on The Jeffersons. So there are a lot of references to like 70s pop culture that I didn't really know, to be honest. And so I had actually never seen an episode of The Jeffersons. So me and Derek sat down the other day and just started watching The Jeffersons. I think it's on like Amazon Prime. And it's so funny and so interesting just to see like what conversations were happening on TV in the 1970s. And his mom is amazing. She's a wonderful actress. And so it's really cool just to like hear him talk about her in the book and then like see that on TV. And he ends up going to school in like Beverly Hills. So he's friends with a bunch of rich and famous people growing up. And he does like is it the Los Angeles Boys Choir, and meets a bunch of people there. So there's so many other celebrities in this book. It's just really interesting to read about his life, and he narrates it, of course, and that part is great. And then for me, I just also like reading the memoirs of people who grew up biracial. His memoir, Mariah Carey, Alicia Keys, you know, just because my kids are biracial, and so neither me or my husband can really understand what that's like. We don't really have life experiences that can like help them through that. So I like to read memoirs of people who have gone through that just to like see what their perspective is like and the things that maybe they wish their parents had done or the things that they had appreciated that their parents did. So this is one of those books, and he does write about that quite a bit in this book. So I thought that was really cool. So those were the only 2 books that I read. I listened to that audiobook as we were driving to some of these museums. It was nice driving entertainment. So I took Jensen and Mariah to the Getty Museum, which is in LA, and it is amazing. I live just outside of LA. I've been here for, I don't know, like 15, 17 years, something like that. I've lived here for a long time. And there's so much that I've never seen. And you know, on Instagram, in the summertime, everybody's traveling to all these cool places and they go to Europe and they see all these cool things. I'm like, you know what? I don't really need to travel that far. I live in LA where we have so many cool things to see, and I haven't seen even like 1% of them. So I was like, this summer, we're gonna get out a little bit and go see some of these cool museums. So first we went to the Getty, which is really cool. You like take this tram to get up there and it's way above LA. You can like see the whole city. They had a ton of different, what do you call those? Exhibits? Exhibits. Yeah, ton of different exhibits. I went to that one looking for the ancient Assyria exhibit, but it turns out that it was actually at the Getty Villa. But that was okay. I just misread it on the website, because then we got to walk all around the Getty and see a ton of cool stuff. And then we went to the villa, which is in like Malibu, like Santa Monica. We went there a couple weeks later. It's gorgeous. It's a replica of what like an ancient Roman villa would have looked like. And then they have all these other exhibits. It's a little bit smaller, maybe like significantly smaller than the Getty Museum in LA, but they both have really cool things. It's free to get into both of them. You have to pay for parking, but besides that, it's free. So you can kind of just like go as often as you want. So we had a lot of fun. It's kind of a nice place to bring a stroller, you know, because like you get a little bit tired of being at home with your baby for too long. It's nice to, you know, just get out and be like intellectually stimulated. But it's, you know, pretty quiet, but it's not like so stuffy of an environment that like, you know, if your baby cries a little bit, people are gonna be super mad. There's wheelchair accessibility everywhere, so that's good for, you know, your stroller. So it was nice to bring Mariah there, and then it's just like fun to walk around with Jensen. At the Getty Museum, it's mostly like Renaissance art, and so there were a lot of paintings of the crucifixion. And Jensen was like, why is God dying so much? He was like, this is very violent. I was like, yeah, they really like to paint this scene. It is pretty violent. I was like, ooh. So lots and lots of different things to see, and you know, different stuff at each one. So even though it was free, the place that did us in was the gift shop. They do give a 10% teacher discount. Oh my gosh, I can't even lift this. Ooh. I have a bunch of books in this bag. Ooh, so many. I spent kind of a lot of money there both times. And then Jensen got like little toys and stuff. It just feels like fine to spend money at a museum, you know, like it feels like you're giving to a good cause, and like whatever your kid wants to buy, like it's educational. And I assume that the books are like well vetted by the people who work at the museum. Maybe that could be not true, but I'm pretty sure they are. Everything that I've got looks really good. So I'm gonna use most of these things, maybe all of these things in my classroom this year, either like for my own background knowledge or like use them for lessons or whatever. So I don't even know how many books I have here, but let me show you. Okay, the first one is this little guy. This is Tales of Ancient Egypt. It must just be a translation. Okay, it's a thrilling collection of the great myths, and then tales told purely for pleasure about treasure and adventure. Even the first ever story of Cinderella. Okay, I don't really know these things, to be honest. I didn't take ancient history. Well, I didn't take very much of it. I have a master's degree in history, but it's in US history, and like you choose a lot of your own courses, you know? So I did have to take like foundational ancient history. It was like classical history or whatever. It was 2 semesters. It was this enormous class in like, you know, like a big lecture hall. It was really hard. The tests were really hard. It was pretty boring. So a lot of what I teach now in ancient history, I'm like kind of just reteaching it to myself and trying to make it more exciting. So I think I'll actually learn a lot from that. I don't really know all of these tales of ancient Egypt, but I think there will be some fun ways to incorporate this into our Egypt unit this year. I got that one at the Villa. I also got this one at the Villa. This is a book about cuneiform, and Irving Finkel is like the world's leading expert basically on cuneiform, and there are all these videos on YouTube of him like actually doing it, and he teaches classes. I think at the Getty, I'm pretty sure, at least like before the pandemic, there were classes that you could go take and learn to do it. And in my class, every year I buy just like clay, and then we have these little kind of stylus type things, and we just try to make our own little cuneiform tablet. But to be honest, I don't like know that much. I just use some resources from online and we watch some videos, but like, look how cool that is. So I want to use some of these pictures and some more of this information. Look at that. Oh my gosh, last year I had some students, we found like 3D printer files of some of these ancient tablets. And so I have a few students who have 3D printers at home, and they printed some of these cuneiform tablets and brought them to school for me. And then it was like a competition. Like one kid would bring one, and then the next day another kid would bring one that was even bigger. Like, it was just really funny. So they got pretty into this, and these are some images that I haven't seen before, some information I'm sure that I don't know. Here, I think I can like read this pretty easily before I teach ancient Mesopotamia, which is at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I'm excited to look through this. Another one that I got that I've been reading just myself is called The Bright Ages. I got this one at the museum. I'm sure they had it because of that like medieval exhibit that is going on right now. So this is, you know, kind of like a play on the Dark Ages. So this is the Bright Ages. So the thesis of this book is that Rome didn't fall. That's kind of like the main premise.
What is going on here? Bro, what is going on here?
Are you gonna
tell me what's
I'm making a video.
But I wanted to show you no, that's the wrong one. So this is the vents.
He still prefers Minecraft to museums, but you know. What was I saying? I forget, but oh yeah, like the premise of their argument is that Rome didn't fall. It just like took on different forms. There were just more people than like the traditional Roman emperors that like were in charge, and like different cultures and different types of people all kind of like integrated there, and that there was a lot of like knowledge and art and stuff, and it really wasn't a Dark Ages, it was a Bright Ages. So a new history of medieval Europe. It's just interesting for me to read personally because again, like I didn't learn a ton about ancient Rome really in college. There was that one weird class. My middle school teachers didn't teach us history besides my 8th grade US history teacher. The other ones just skipped it entirely. And like in high school, I only had really like 1 year of legit history. So I have to fill in a lot of my own education. So this is not even content that my 6th graders learn, but I also teach 7th grade English, and they do the medieval period. And so I like to do lessons that kind of like support what they're doing in history class, and we can write about it a little bit in English. I recently uploaded a video about all of our English 7 lessons and talked about some things that we did with this content. So just reading this for my own background knowledge. There's still so much that I don't know. That's the thing about being a history teacher, is like you could be an expert in like US history. That's what people tend to be also, you know, they're the expert in US history. They know like all the Civil War battles or whatever. But then if they get switched over to like 6th grade history, then you don't know anything, or like 7th grade history, or if you're teaching world in high school or just something else, like not much of it crosses over. So there's just so much to know. So just like wherever you get placed as a history teacher, like if you are somebody getting your history degree right now and you want to be a teacher, it's just tough because it's what do you focus on? You don't really know until you start teaching. Even for me, if they switch my preps this year between now and like 2 weeks from now, and I bought all this stuff, I'm gonna be mad. And that might happen because this was a lot of money. I got a lot of books in here. Okay, continuing with this like medieval theme. Last year we listened to podcasts about like Merlin and Lancelot and King Arthur and all of that, the Myths and Legends podcast. But I didn't have anything for them to read. So this is The Death of King Arthur by, Sir Thomas Malory. I did take one English course that was an medieval literature class, and I learned so much in that class. So I do know a bit about like this translation versus like other collections of like the Knights of the Round Table type myths and stuff, the Merlin myths. I think some people in my class had like read all of this, but I have not. So I'm gonna try to read this or just make it available for students who are interested. This cover is really pretty. The next one that I got is not really a book. Like this is just a publication of the Getty, so like this is exhibition highlights from that Persia exhibit, so ancient Iran and the classical world. This is something that I teach in 6th grade, so it's a little bit of like information for me to brush up on, and then like pictures of these really cool artifacts and buildings and stuff like that. So I can use this in my teaching. Some of this stuff I saw in person, maybe all of it. I took some pictures of some things, just a little one. This, I don't know if I can link. I'm gonna try to link the rest of these resources in case you wanna get them for your classroom. I don't know if just like regular bookstores carry all this stuff, probably, but probably not that little one because it's like a Getty publication. Okay, 3 more, and they're really big. Look how cool all of these are. Oh my gosh, like, oh. The illustrations on these are amazing. Let's go from smallest to largest. My students are always really interested in the Greek myths every year, and so I thought this book would just capture their attention. It's beautifully illustrated. Something that we can use as kind of like a reference book. So this is the story of Persephone, it looks like. A guide to the gods, humans and the gods. Wow, this is just like really, really cool. And I have quite a few other really cool books about Greek gods in my classroom. So I need to create like a little station next year where I just like put out resources that kids can flip through if they want to. Because I've gathered so many, I feel like. So, oh yeah, this is just so cool. I'm a fan. And then this one, me and Mariah were reading the other day, Hide and Seek History, Ancient Egyptians. This one is amazing as well, kind of different. So it's like a board book, and then it has these little flaps that open and like tell you a little bit more about each topic. Very, very cool. Let's see. Whoop, there we go. This one's about the pyramids. Look at that. Like, this is just so cool. Mummies. Everyone loves learning about mummies and gods and goddesses. Life on the Nile. Ooh, here's what's in a ship. Oh, so cool. And actually, I'm going to Egypt. Me and Derek are going in June of 2023. We're going with Teach with Love Global. So I'm really trying to learn everything that I can about Egypt before I go, so that like I have context behind the things that we're gonna see. So very excited. And I can leave information about that trip down below if you want. I'm sure they still have spots open, and other teachers can come if you want to come with us. Okay, the final book that I got, this one I got at the museum, barely fit in the stroller to take it home. This is just a really cool illustrated book of maps. So it kind of goes by each country. Oh, this is like the UK. And then they go like this, and there's a bunch of illustrations. You can learn about all of these different places. France. Let's see, oh, different African countries. Ghana. Ooh. I just thought this would be another really cool resource as we learn about all these different places around the world. Trying to do more geography this year. I'm working on a geography resource that I will share pretty soon, but I think this would be like a good companion to some of those lessons about geography. So I'm excited about this one. And then like, I don't know, if it ends up not being useful at school, which I think it will, I can always keep this at home and let Jensen and Mariah play with these. So very fun. Or I will play with them. I'll read them. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't remember where I put them, but I also got a keychain to put my work keys on that has some little artifact. I can't remember what it was. And then coasters that have cuneiform on them. Is it cuneiform? Cuneiform? I kind of just like go back and forth with how I say it because I'm not really sure. Cuneiform, yeah? Cuneiform? Cuneiform? I don't know. Does it matter? I don't know. But I am excited about those coasters. I'm gonna put them in my classroom, put my coffee on it. I teach English and history, and I would say that my room is a little bit like more geared towards English just because I have a ton of books and like, I don't know, posters about literature and reading and stuff. So I'm actually trying to bring in a little bit more of the ancient history stuff. So this will be very helpful. These are just so fun. Like these are inspiring. These are inspiring me to start thinking about back to school with a better attitude and not dreading it as much. And you know, just like looking at all this fun information that we kind of get to learn together. Every year that I teach ancient history, I learn many, many things alongside my students. So I will link as much as I can down below. If you're ever in the LA area, visit the Getty Museum and the Getty Villa if you can. They're both beautiful. And I'm sure that there are really cool museums where you live as well. So let us know in the comments down below where you live and what cool museums you've been to, what exhibits you've been to there. Museum historians put a lot of work into everything that they curate and the exhibitions that they put together and the experience that they provide for guests. So let us know where you are, what museums you recommend, because there are amazing museums everywhere. Sometimes they're even just like local and they just showcase local history, but those places can be really, really great resources for you as a teacher. So don't forget about those local museums. They could be a really, really cool like partner for you in your teaching. Shout out to museums. Okay, Jensen wanted to show me more of his Minecraft or something, so I'm gonna go do that. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.